This video was sponsored by Surfshark.
Hey, no pop-ins! Get out of here! Ouch! 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 Ow! 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 Ouch!
Like, I'm really trying to think about this. A doghouse, not a tree house, not a little tent in the backyard. A doghouse? I'm at a loss for words. Also plugging my Insta. Now with the intro out of the way, glad to be back doing King of the Hill content. I want to know where the King of the Hill fans are at with this video, because I remember when I put out a community post talking about what people came to my channel for, and even though I didn't put King of the Hill as a choice there, a lot of the comments were looking for that. So this video here is because of what I read there. Before you continue, for someone who's literally sometimes had to use a VPN to get around Hulu or Netflix or even YouTube, you can tell VPNs are a needed thing for what I do, but it is for you too. The people over at Surfshark have created an easy to install VPN or virtual private network that will allow you to browse the internet safer and not have to worry about your ISP tracking you, or bad actors getting your IP address, or even Surfshark themselves getting logs on you, as they have a strict no logs policy. Whether you want to watch something blocked in your country, or maybe you're part of my audience that is overseas and can't really see everything because the world is weird with how it releases things, make sure to take advantage of this by going to surfshark.deals/alpha and enter promo code ALPHA for 83% off and an extra 3 months for free. So, how does all of this start? Like, if point B is Bobby in a doghouse, what in the world could have been point A? So Hank planned to park in his driveway correctly, only to see a garbage can not put to the curb correctly. Hank, rightfully wanting to put hands on Bobby, is alerted by Peggy that he's sick. Look, I promise I'm not deliberately picking episodes that deal with sickness. Being sick was just a common thing to write out.
Hey son, are you sick?
No, Dad, I just love the taste of mucus. Of course he's sick. What kind of stupid question is that? However, I do enjoy the foreshadowing of having Lady Bird by his side, showing the future core of the conflict within this episode. Plus, it just naturally makes sense to be consoled by a pet when you're ill or down. Of course, Hank, skeptical, checks the temperature, deems that he's fine, only to get the sassiest hand wave from Bobby to exit the room. He never turned back on that humidifier, by the way. No wonder Bobby stays sick for the rest of the episode. Now, tell me if you've done this before. You're either feeling some pain or some symptoms, and you go to Google or WebMD, and they say it could be connected to some horrible things. I literally did that a week ago, not a substitute for a real doctor, yet Peggy thinks that back in the 90s or early 2000s, whenever this was made. She's hardcore searching the internet for whatever Bobby could have, and knowing her, she's the type of person where she doesn't want to be wrong and will resist being wrong due to her natural lack of humility. So imagine if Peggy actually latched on to a severe but inaccurate diagnosis. Luckily, at least to my knowledge, we don't have an episode where Peggy messes up someone's health in an ignorant way.
Bobby's having an allergic reaction to dander. Now your wife tells me you have a dog.
Whoa, slow down there, Charlie. Now what does a dog have to do with anything?
Bobby's allergic to the dog.
Well, you said dander. How do you know that Peggy doesn't have the dander?
You know, if Peggy just decked Hank right in the jaw right then and there, this episode would have been 5 stars. Fellas, ladies, don't call your significant other dirty in public, especially in front of a doctor. On a more productive note, this is point A, and it makes sense. You see Bobby with the dog earlier in the episode. Yes, there have been episodes where Bobby and Lady Bird have coexisted together just fine, but don't think about that. The weird thing is, it could be a temporary thing or a seasonal thing, which the doctor does say, but not with any concrete evidence of this. He thinks it's fascinating how mysterious this is, entirely with no empathy towards someone having to get rid of their dog. It's in that way that while I don't want Bobby to be sentenced to eternal coughing and sickness within the house, flat out determining based off of a singular pet is kind of crazy, especially if you're Hank and you've had Lady Bird for 13 years. Peggy, on the other hand, has spared no time thinking about this change, and not only declares that the dog will be out of the house, but also suggests to Hank to get a hairless dog or a poodle.
A poodle? Why not go all the way and just get me a cat and a sex change operation? Can't we just give Bobby something?
There are pills, but they don't often work, and their side effects include drowsiness, hives, and rectal bleeding. And most people find it much simpler just to get rid of the dog.
We'll try the pills.
So this episode has been on the list for a while because it has gotten flack for Hank's character within the episode, and a lot of people find either his naivety, ignorance, or deliberate denial to be unwatchable as a viewer. The idea that Hank, a father, putting his dog over his son, especially in a way that is to the son's detriment, looks pretty poor on Hank. It's actually because of those criticisms that fueled me to pick this episode in particular, because I don't buy that. I'm going to play the defense attorney for Hank. I don't have a suit yet. Maybe I can afford one if the merch sales stay consistent. You at home watching this, you're gonna play the judge. And I hope you have like a powdered wig or hair dye or something, because you have to play the part too. Alright, Your Honor, Exhibit A. I think people are too harsh on Peggy being ignorant without forgetting that every character in King of the Hill is incredibly ignorant about something. They represent actual people, and many people have irrational or emotionally driven blind spots that make them ignorant about something. Hank is a rather ignorant character, he's just not arrogant on top of that. But that doesn't mean that he wouldn't have hills to die on, no pun intended. If there are 3 things that Hank most likely loves more than Bobby, it's his truck, propane, and his dog. Of course, Peggy would love Bobby more than Lady Bird. Lady Bird is Hank's dog. So, with this hand forced, and Bill rambling on about his childhood, that gives Hank an idea.
I could build Lady Bird a doghouse. I was gonna build her one when she was a puppy, but then Bobby came along and I got sidetracked making a crib. Maybe this is the second chance I've been waiting for.
So right now, we're on the right track. Boy is sick because of dog, put dog in doghouse. Very simple, very logical. We're driving straight. Peggy is really concerned about Bobby because of the pills. He's now only breathing through his mouth and he's been sleeping for 18 hours straight. And I love the dialogue here. We see Hank say I agree, but then talk about Lady Bird. He's just as concerned as Peggy is, he says, but as you can tell, this is more for Lady Bird than for Bobby. And now I want to present Exhibit B. Your Honor, while it may seem like on the outside that Hank caring this much for the dog is off-putting, I would say that the opposite is true. Had Hank cared for Bobby in the way that Peggy did, that's not the way that he expresses emotion. That's definitely not the way that Hank expresses his love that he has for Bobby. You have to remember his upbringing. It was cold and distant. Now, even though Hank isn't to Bobby what Cotton was to Hank, I'd argue that this is very much in character for Hank, given that if you were where he is at that point in time, you're going to accommodate that dog as much as possible, but also fix the problem with Bobby. Before he knew that Bobby may be allergic to dog dander, he even went into this with no true concern for Bobby, so this seems pretty consistent with his character.
Although we move you into Barkingham Palace today, we will always leave a doggy door open into our hearts. Forgive me.
Push her in. We all came to see the opening of a doghouse.
As you see, Lady Bird doesn't really care much for the doghouse, and Peggy looks at Hank like they planned for Lady Bird to do this. Why are you upset? The guy literally built the home for the dog and the dog didn't like it. I'd be mad at Peggy for being mad at me. What have you tried? If you want the dog out so bad, why are you going against Hank? He's trying to make sure that the dog that he's had a 13-year-long bond with isn't thrown into a shelter or in anyone's hands. How about you try to use the internet like you did earlier in the episode and try to find a better solution, rather than throwing your blame onto someone who's been actively trying as hard as possible to accommodate Lady Bird as you have Bobby. Hank spends the night attempting to fix the problem, making it so that Lady Bird feels comfortable making the switch. Bill suggests giving him Lady Bird, but Hank ignores that suggestion, for now, and Dale makes the comment that the doghouse looks better than most homes. Both of these statements will be important later. With time running out, Hank starts to get a little desperate, saying that the allergies won't clear up right away. It's gonna take a lot of cleaning, vacuuming, maybe even flat out replacing things within the home to remove all of the dandruff around the home.
You know, Lady Bird hasn't gone in the doghouse, so there's no dander in there.
Hank, what are you talking about?
And the air filter would work better in a small room.
Hank, you're scaring me.
And for less than the cost of cleaning the house, we could pay to have a second TV set hooked up to the cable.
You're messing with me. You're not honestly thinking about...
What I was thinking was, Bobby could live in the doghouse. Yeah, that'll work. Bobby's only 13, he's young, it'll be fun for him. But Lady Bird's 13. She doesn't have much time left and she's set in her ways.
Alright people, we're off the rails. Hank has skirted into the wrong lane, and it's an uphill battle from here folks, but I am not down and out. Your Honor, I do have Exhibit C.
Mom, this is a perfect starter home. I like the neighborhood. I won't have to change schools, and it's Connie adjacent.
Bobby's a big boy, Peggy. You can't hang on forever.
Time to move on, Mom.
And this is the most important part I have here, Your Honor. Bobby isn't upset with Hank. Not once throughout this episode has Bobby been shown to be emotionally affected by Hank's actions. If anything, he's put his trust in his father that things will eventually work themselves out without his input. Peggy is the only person who has been on Hank's neck, and I don't want to make Peggy seem like the bad guy for wanting her son to be better, but this entire time, she's only offered one solution, and I'm willing to bet that Peggy wouldn't get rid of her computer or her substitute teacher awards if those had dandruff on it. So of course, as this episode goes, Bobby loves the doghouse. Bobby sees it as independence, and why wouldn't he? Bobby's character is interesting because while he wants to be free, live life on his own terms, he's soft and generally isn't a risk taker. So the doghouse is the best of both worlds for him. Plus, given that he's unaware of his perception a lot of the time, this episode spends 0% of its time showing how Bobby feels about other people's opinions.
The courtesy of an invitation. That's all I ask.
Peggy, we couldn't even fit in the door.
No, I'm not buying that at all. You're lying, but that's okay. I wouldn't want Peggy at my housewarming either. It's here where Bobby lives like a king. Connie and a very silent Joseph come over in support of the new home. Everything at this point is just fine. You have a boy and his made-for-a-dog castle and the benefits of living on your own terms, which in this case means pizza and a TV at any time. So what's the issue? Well, other people exist.
Hey, Peggy Hill! Connie wanted to have your Bobby over to play. You had him fixed, right?
Well, I'm glad you find my son's sickness so amusing. If he were living in a plastic bubble, I would be having lunch with Elton John. But because he is in a doghouse, big laugh. Well, you know what would be really funny? You know what would be really funny, huh? If Connie broke her leg.
And it's here where the spiral happens. Ming is a great pick for this, however, because she always has a snide opinion, and while the idea of a boy being in a doghouse is unconventional at best, outright scummy at worst, Ming being the one to point it out wouldn't have set off red flags in Peggy's head of what is to come, because while Ming is bold enough to state that this is weird, so does the entire town. It seems gossip travels better than good fashion in the city of Arlen because it's not too long where everyone knows about this. Peggy tries to cut things off early by giving up Bobby's room, which at this point, Hank gave this room to Peggy so that her office wouldn't be so cramped. However, Hank, like an absolute Chad, just gives Lady Bird Bobby's room and then gives Peggy her original office room back. Like, it's impressive how he's been able to dance around the dog being taken away. In fact, he's actually rather cordial with Bobby, who at this point has been adjusted very well to the doghouse.
Hey, you're not sneezing or hacking up something gross.
Maybe it's the pills.
I guess that means you'll be moving back into the house.
I may be well, but I'm not stupid. I am not giving up this doghouse. You got that?
Alright, Your Honor, I have one last exhibit, Exhibit D. Bobby doesn't want to leave the doghouse. He actually enjoys the freedom that it gives him. Even if you feel like Hank and Peggy should veto Bobby's decision to stay in the doghouse, which I agree with by the way, it would be hypocritical of me to expect Hank to immediately jump onto the bandwagon when he's known for accommodating Lady Bird as much as he could. If Bobby likes the doghouse, if Hank can stay with Lady Bird, if Peggy can be happy with the office, then to Hank, the rest doesn't matter. The outside opinions of people calling your boy Old Yeller doesn't matter. Everyone's saying that any leftovers from the upcoming anniversary party from Dale and Nancy should be put in a doggy bag for Bobby. That shouldn't matter either, right? In fact, if anyone, Bobby is the one who wants this the most, because Connie is visibly affected by Bobby doing what he's doing to Hank. However, throw all of that out of the window, because at the anniversary party, all of that happens, and Peggy decides at that point she will never let the town of Arlen disrespect her son again, strong-arming the decision for Bobby to be put back into his room.
Come on, Lady Bird, don't make me beg. Please, Ladybird, be a good dog.
Look, I know he's down on his luck, but why do you have to stare at this man with arms crossed like he hasn't been trying his best? Right now, he's physically trying to push Ladybird into the doghouse, and Ladybird is having absolutely none of it. And we never really learn why, but I'm sure someone who subbed to me probably knows why and will put it in the comments. But my whole point is, I don't think Hank's the bad guy here. He clearly wanted to keep his dog and try out all of these other options before eventually caving in and giving Ladybird to Bill, which emotionally and spiritually would crush him. I don't think Peggy is the bad guy here either, because Peggy just doesn't want Bobby to grow up as an outcast and be embarrassed about her own flesh and blood. I don't think Bobby's the bad guy here. He wants independence, he wants freedom, he enjoys the safety net that is the doghouse being close to everyone that he loves, but also his own property. Plus, it's not like he chose to have allergies. I don't even think Ladybird is the bad guy here. If I were going to put my mind into a dog, it's very clear that if I were living a good 80 to 90% of my life in one spot, I may not want to go to a smaller spot. I'd lose the favorite spots that I had to lounge in. It's not even the people of Arlen who are the bad guys. No matter which way you slice it, it's weird and unconventional to put your son in a doghouse. This is a really unfortunate situation for everyone involved. I don't think anyone's a bad guy, and that's why I love King of the Hill's writing.
Delicious chicken and broccoli, Mother. Achoo! No, I've been down this road. Yeah, before.
Oh my goodness, Bobby, honey, are you okay?
If Bobby is sick, then I'm the president. While it isn't morally right to fake being sick given how worried his parents are, it's an interesting and entertaining twist. Of course, Bobby takes advantage of his parents' well-meaning nature and exploits them by being the ultimate decider of when he's no longer sick. However, it's due to his sudden drunken off-power nature that leads to him getting very cocky and rude towards Connie, which was the clip I played at the beginning of this video. He sees this as a good thing, given that it was his dad that wanted him to move in the first place. However, Connie and most of the audience sees this as Hank sacrificing his dog for his son ultimately, and dying a little inside knowing that his dog is in the hands of another person. Mind you, at this point, Hank and Peggy are cleaning the entire house in a desperate attempt to make it danger-free for Bobby, who isn't sick anymore, but will try once more to convince them so.
Don't be afraid to breathe, Bobby. It's the only way we can find out if we got all the dander.
Achoo!
Damn it.
And it's here where Bobby reaches a moral crossroads. Does he stick to his guns and remain in the doghouse, knowing that it would crush Hank spiritually to not have a dog or boy in his house? Or apparently carpet? Like, at some point, he couldn't keep this up, practically. They're either gonna move or give Bobby shots. It's like a ticking time bomb. Because with the other path, he could give in early. They haven't caught him yet. He will have to lose his freedom, but it's to make his father happy, and to not make everyone around him less happy to be independent for a short amount of time. Choices. Obviously, he picks the latter, but they wrap it up in the last 30 seconds of the episode. In fact, it's rather abrupt given that the scenes that came before it was Peggy directly telling Hank not to touch Ladybird, for him to do just that, with wrapping all over her, and then the ending. Like, it's weird, but I'm not gonna complain too much about it. I thought Hank's choice really wasn't that bad. Honestly, the writing makes this work. Like, if you put this on paper, I can see it being a disaster, but the team has a really high percentage of making good episodes, and I'm glad to have given it an open mind. Thank you so much for your time. As always, take care. Alpha out.